Okay, in this lesson we're going to look at solving multi-step equations. These are going to be equations that do have the distributive property in them. We're going to build up to like terms, but we are getting to that point. So our steps to think about when we solve multi-step equations. Remember, we've already talked about don't call me after midnight. And so you have the little telephone to help you remember the steps. Remember, the D tells us to distribute first. So we always want to look to see if there's any distributing involved with our equation, and we need to do that first. We need to take care of those parentheses first. The C stands for combine like terms. Today we're not going to have any like terms. That is going to be our next step that we build on, but it would be the next step in our process. Combine like terms, they're on the same side. The M stands for move the variables. Remember, we're moving our variables to the same side so that all our X's or all our Y's are on the same side. Then we're going to add or subtract the constant term. Remember, the constant term is the one that doesn't have a variable. And then we're going to multiply or divide by the coefficient, or the number that's with our variable. So those are just our steps again, just like what's on our don't call me after midnight. So refer to your telephone or refer to your notes here. Okay, so let's look at the first example. So the first thing we need to look for is the distributive property. Also remember, if you want to draw a line through your equal sign, that's going to help. On the left side, there's nothing right now that we can do with 9a, so I'm going to leave it 9a. But on the right, we have parentheses. We need to do the distributive property. So I'm going to say 6 times a is 6a. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, check. Distributive property. C, combine like terms. No like terms, no like terms. We're good. M, move our variables to the same side. Now, since 9a is hanging out over here by itself, I'm going to go ahead and move my 6a over here. And remember, when we move our variables, we do that by adding or subtracting. So 6a is positive, so I'm going to subtract 6a. Remember, we're making 0 pairs here. My 6a cancels out. That leaves me with 3a equals 24. Okay, I moved my variables. The next step says to add or subtract a constant term. Okay, I don't have a constant term over here. We had one right there, but nothing to do with that. So now to get a by itself, to solve for a, the inverse operation is to divide by 3. And so we're going to get a equals 8. So the only thing really different is that we have added in the step of the distributive property. Okay, let's look at this one. No distributive property. This is going to stay the same for right now. On the right, we need to distribute. 2 times h is 2h. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay. Next step, see if we have any like terms. No, we do not. None right here. None right here. Move our variables to the same side. Remember, you can move it to whatever side you want. It doesn't matter. If you always like your variables on the left, always move them to the left. I like to move the smaller one. This is positive 2h, so we're going to subtract 2h. That gives me 3h minus 7 equals 2. Okay. A, add or subtract the constant term. We're trying to solve for h. My constant term over here is the negative 7. It doesn't have a variable. The opposite of subtracting 7 is to add 7. So that leaves me 3h equals 9. and then cancel out the 3 by dividing. And so we get h equals 3. Whoops. Remember, at any point, if you need to stop the video, pause it, rewind, then please do that. Okay, getting a little bit harder. Let's look at number 3. This time, both sides of our equations have parentheses, so we're going to have to distribute on both sides. Don't panic because you see a fraction. Guys, you have a calculator to help you with that, so there's no reason to stress about that. 5 times n is 5n. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay. On the right side, 3/5 times 5 is 3. Use your calculator if you need to confirm that. 3/5 times 10n is 6n. Okay, I'm doing that in my head, but you can very easily pick up a calculator and do those calculations. Okay, check for like terms. No like terms, no like terms. Okay, next one, move our variables to the same side. Okay, so this time, I think I want to move the 5n because it's smaller. So minus 5n minus 5n. Okay, so that leaves me with 10 equals 3 plus n. Okay, now we need to cancel out our constant term. Remember, we're looking at the side where our variable is because we're trying to figure out what n is. This is a positive 3, so I'm going to subtract 3. Okay, when I do that, that gives me 7 equals n. Ooh, look, I'm done. I don't have a coefficient there. Nothing else is with the n. So my solution is n equals 7. Okay, let's look at one more together, and then I want you to try the last 2 on your own. Parentheses on both sides. Negative 3 times 4x is negative 12x. Negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30. 1/2 times negative 24x, negative 12x. 1/2 times 60 is 30. Oh, and I just gave you a special one, and I didn't mean to. Okay, but that's okay. So our next step here would be to move our variables to the same side. This time I'm adding 12x because this is negative. And we're going to see here that 30 equals 30. Do you remember what that means? We're going to look at this again later, but this means that there are infinitely many solutions. Or you could also say, another way to say that would be the identity, because it's exactly the same. You could also say all real numbers, and that's the symbol for doing all real numbers. Okay, I want you to try the last 2 on your own and check with the teacher in the room when you're finished.